Music, the lost gift to young children, rediscovering good quality music experiences with Sue Lewin. For those who don't know Sue, and I'm sure that many of you, like myself, have had the pleasure of being in Sue's workshops before. Sue's an early childhood teacher, musician and songwriter. She's produced 11 music CDs for young children. Her collaborations include Indigenous educator and singer Sharon Lind, well-known children's musician Mike Jackson, and performer and songwriter Peter Stewart. Sue's musical Dancing the Boom Chicka Chicka Boogie, based on the picture book by award-winning author and illustrator Narelle Oliver, was staged as a children's musical in London. She's passionate about early years music education and the links between music and self-regulation development.
I'm gathering that you've probably been sitting down Zooming all day. Who's been Zooming all day? So up your hop, we're going to do a song just to get you wiggling to start with. I'm going to stay sitting down, but you can stand up. You'll be muted, I won't. And you can join in the actions. You might know this one. Come on and move your body. Come on and move it now. Come on and move your body. Listen and I'll tell you how. Shrug your shoulders. Wriggle your hips. Stretch your body. Pucker up and blow a kiss. Come on and move your body. Come on and move it now. Come on and move your body. Listen and I'll tell you how. Shrug your shoulders. Wriggle your hips. Stretch your body. Pucker up and blow a kiss. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for joining in. I couldn't see everybody, but the people I could were bopping about. That's lovely. Thanks for that. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners, and in order to do that, I'm using lovely Sharon Lynn's acknowledgement of country, which is a sung one. Many of you will know Sharon, Auntie Sharon Lind. And so this is how it goes. So we'll sing it all the way through, you muted and I not, and then I'll repeat it. Place your hand upon your heart, let us show respects to the sovereign people of this land, north, south, east and west. Now you place your hand upon your heart, let us show respects to the sovereign people of this land, north, south, east and west. That's by Sharon Lind, as I say, and she is just recording it as we speak on a new album. So music, the lost gift to young children. I did warn Liz earlier that some of this is a bit sad today about what's happened to music in our country, but hopefully we've got some things that we can do about that. So many of you will know the research of Siraj Blatchford. Iram Siraj and John Blatchford are London-based people, Oxford even nowadays, and they wrote the EPI project together, which showed the importance of preschool education across the board quite early on. Well, in 2011, they did a paper which included this statement, that research shows that music in an early years setting produces long-term development and learning outcomes. Now, that's not a surprise to those of us who love music in the early years and use it, and they are not the only people who have found this to be true. But in 2015, Richard Letts found that there is a documented steady decline in the provision of music education in pre-service training of early years educators in Australia. A documented steady decline. Now, this is something that I sort of had known myself a bit. Hang on, just go to the previous one. I'd known myself anecdotally, but I hadn't really known that this was happening. So when I say pre-service training, I am talking about both degree training and also TAFE and other providers who are training people to be out in childcare centres and kindies. Anybody have a guess about what that would look like? How much? You can unmute and say if you think. How much decline do you think over the last, say, 20 years?
I reckon it's by half.
By half, says Liz. Any advance on that?
I'm a former music teacher, so I did a Bachelor of Music, and we had a few of the generalist teachers in our course, and I think they did a multi-arts unit, and they only did about 3 weeks of music education in that. Well, to be a music specialist, I had to do a lot more, obviously.
And what did multi-arts mean?
So they had to do dance, drama, visual art and music all in one unit. And so for the typical 12 or 13 weeks that they would spend doing that unit, it was about 3 weeks for each subject. So
You mind me asking you when you did your degree?
Yes, I finished my Bachelor in 2008.
In 2008.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, that is exactly what I've been finding. I'm very good at graphs, you can tell, can't you? This is my graph. That's the limit of my graph expertise. So this is what happened in 1988. Any of the people who've been around for a while, typically you would have had 70 odd hours of music in a 4-year early childhood degree. That's a university degree. 70 hours. So it was considered to be a very important component. And as Elizabeth says, it's gone right down. This graph shows that it's roughly 17 hours. I think that's ambitious. I have been talking to teachers of the general B.Ed degree and the Master of Teachers degree at local universities, and they back up exactly what Elizabeth has said, that in the B.Ed you have maybe 8 hours of music teaching, but in their Masters of Teaching, certainly you get less than 3 hours of music. And if you happen to be away that week, you would have none. So we have got, and this is, I'm not making this up. We're not making it up, are we, Elizabeth? So I've talked to a lot of teachers around the place, and I've talked to people who have graduated in the last 20 or 30 years. And so this is the state of music education in early years. Now, that has consequences, as you can imagine. So this group did a study in 2019, it's very new, of childcare educators. Now, I haven't got the statistics of the amount of music in TAFE. I know I've taught music in TAFE, and actually, I have to say on the whole, I think they do a bit more music in TAFE than they do in universities, actually, in the general diploma courses and so on. But Barrett, Flynn, Brown and Welch asked a number of childcare educators about their beliefs and values about music education, early childhood education. And they were specifically asked these 5 questions. Is music an essential creative outlet for young children? Is it a useful tool for social inclusion? Is it a tool to assist in the development of self-regulation? Is it essential to quality of life? Is music and the skills learnt through music translatable to general problem solving? Has anybody got any ideas what they said in this study? What a large number of childcare educators said. Or you can tell me what you believe if you like. What do you believe about those things? Anyone? Press your space button and jump in.
Hello.
Thanks.
I'm here.
Yes, I'm up.
The skills learned through music translate to general problem solving. That's an essential skill for children who can learn through music, because not all children can learn through other avenues like just straight language, but music can interpret those learning skills very high degree. I had a child who had bilateral ears, I forget what they're called, and of course he had no speech sounds as well. And he joined my kindergarten class. Within 6 months, he was able to say the sounds of the letters, and the other children in the group were just amazed that this young boy who couldn't hear, couldn't talk, had come with the music every day and was able to say the sounds exactly what they could say or hear.
Fabulous. Barb, you wouldn't realise this, but you've jumped into the one that most early childhood educators would not think is valid. Most would not. So I'll go back to this and tell you, they mostly went for the first two. They said, yeah, it's creative and it's great for social inclusion. On the whole, they did not see it as being any of the last three. Now, Liz and I were just having a conversation about how much music adds to our life. It's essential to quality of life. And that's the fourth one. And what Barb was just saying about the skills. So I would say majority of early childhood educators who are going to be in childcare come out of that course only believing the first two and no other than that. So again, that's a diminishing. Now, UNESCO say that these are the areas in which early childhood development can be assessed. This is general early childhood development. Executive function, which many of you know about, brain function, social and emotional development, motor development, early literacy and numeracy. And I think we'd probably all agree with that in early years. And yet, anecdotally, and obviously from people here and from the teachers I talk to, very little authentic music happens in early years settings, especially if people have graduated since the days of having all that beautiful music. I've talked to more experienced educators who said they had to put together a whole portfolio of ideas and resources and puppets and you name it, that they could use with children. That doesn't happen now. So why? Why do you think, and I'd really like people to jump in here, why do you think very little authentic music happens in early years settings?
Okay, I'm going to jump in here. As a kindergarten teacher in the early learning centre, I found that a lot of people didn't know how to teach music or even to play an instrument or have any basic idea about singing. I sing and make up songs as I go along with the children. And now I'm doing a different job where I travel out west remotely to station properties. And even the parents there are more generally interested in their children learning through play groups, but not essentially music. And I've done a lot of music out when I go out to play groups. And the parents say, oh, we're not really interested in music. And I said, why? I said, music has such a wonderful transition of children in learning. And if you look at the history of people who have lived very long lives, like Vera Lynn, she lived to 103, and music has a lot to do with that. And my mother, she's also a singer, and she is 89 next month, and so her sister just turned 90. So music has been part of their lives all their lives, and I think we need to look at how we can implement more music into our program.
Absolutely. So what you're mainly saying then, Barbara, is that parents don't know this music themselves. They don't know how to pass on to their children. Jean's just made a comment here, social media. Children can look at computers, iPads, they can get music. And that is my experience. They get random music. They don't necessarily get purposefully chosen good quality music. Let's just look at what the main reasons are why there's some. Don't worry, we are going to do some singing later. Don't worry. Yeah, Elizabeth, I think a lot of educators lack confidence and don't believe they can sing well, which is what I've got here. So these 4 came up as quite important in teachers' lives. Some teachers of young children have limited music education themselves. There is little support in official policy. I don't know if you've heard the recent arguments for decluttering the curriculum. People in schools would hear this all the time. How much space is there left for music education, even in schools? Decluttering means really turning out the arts and all the fun things, I think. And then this one is, I think, what you're talking about. Both Barb and Elizabeth mentioned this: lack of confidence, knowledge, skills and resources. And if you feel that, if you don't have that, you're very reticent to use music. You don't have a poem in your pocket and a song in your heart that you can just pull out and use. And the last one, because some do not see the extended value of music education. And that was seen in that study when childcare educators were asked, and they just didn't see that it was important in the same way as those outback families didn't think it was very important. That's what I mean about this PowerPoint being sad. That's sad, I think. For somebody in my program, I sing all the time. And I'm fortunate in that I had a very good basis of early childhood music from my grandparents, from my parents, from my teachers, from all the people in my life. But it isn't happening now.
I can say, Sue,
yeah.
Children in the outback, I would say years ago, it was the custom, learn the piano, learn the guitar. I mean, I know some of the families play guitars and some people are very creative, but it's just, I've noticed in playgroups, and in particular, one town that I visit, they aren't really linked to music, which is a sad thing. And I do a lot of singing with the children, and I've had comments from parents, oh, we don't really like music. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but the children are really enjoying playing the different instruments and making lots of noise and learning about the sounds that each of these instruments make, and then learning some songs. So you can see that the children participate. And I think the parents are a little bit concerned that really, where is music going to go for their children? And I think, like you're saying, confidence has a lot to do with it. My co-worker, she won't do any singing with me or any playing of instruments. I can play the piano and the guitar, but she won't become involved. Because I think children don't judge you on your singing.
Exactly. No, I think this issue of confidence is a big one. I agree, Bob. But and also the importance of music. What you just said, where is music going? And I think this latest government response to the arts in university shows that anything that doesn't have a tangible job attached to it is not as venerated at the moment. So this decluttering the curriculum came from just before Christmas, when all the PISA results came in schools. And Sarah Mitchell, the New South Wales Education Minister, went on Sky News and she talked about the furious agreement of ministers to the concept of decluttering, and another talk about getting back to basics, which were the maths, English, science, all of those things. So this is what she was talking about. And I love that picture of the piano flying out the window there. So if we go back to the areas that UNESCO talked about, all of those things can come from music, and yet they're not the things that are venerated. So Shonkoff, who I love his work, he says, we aren't born with the skills that enable us to control impulses, make plans and stay focused. We are born with the potential to develop those capacities. And so us as early years educators, we have that task of enabling children to stay focused and to control impulses and make plans. And I believe music can very much help us do that. Now, do write things in the chat comments as well, please, as well as responding, because afterwards, we can read those, and they're always a useful way of relating. So as Liz said at the beginning, I'm very passionate about self-regulation development, and I've done a lot of work in looking at how music and self-regulation are linked. And all of us want our children to be self-regulated by the time they get to school. There's many studies to show that self-regulation development is actually more of an important factor in school success than almost anything else, more than counting to 100, more than knowing your letters, more than anything. If you can self-regulate and be focused, inhibit control, you have a working memory, and you have cognitive flexibility, then that is a very big precursor for success. And I believe that music can help us with each of those. So I'd be interested to see what your view of that is, but I thought we'd look at them one at a time and just see how, oops, just, hang on. Okay, so let's look at inhibitory control first. I'm sure you have looked at self-regulation before, because there's lots of people doing work on executive function and self-regulation. I want to stick particularly to inhibitory control. So inhibitory control is the thing where at the beginning of the year you say, I'd like to tell you a story about cats, and everyone goes, I've got a cat, my granny's got a cat, and everybody calls out at once. And what you want to have is a nice focused discussion. So there's some songs and some activities that we can do with children using music to encourage inhibitory control. So I'm going to do a couple of those. Now, Elizabeth, this will please your soul because you mentioned this song earlier on. Elizabeth was talking about the song Throw It Out the Window. I don't know if people know that one, but it's using nursery rhymes that children know well. So first off, you've got to actually teach them the nursery rhyme, which is a big ask for some people. You teach them the nursery rhyme, and then what they have to do is sing it, but instead of completing it, they throw whatever object it is out the window in the song and then have to come back. I'll show you what I mean by it. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner eating his Christmas pie. He put in his thumb and pulled out a plum, threw it out the window, the window, the window, the second story window. He put in his thumb and pulled out a plum, threw it out the window. So what that child's doing is they are inhibiting the song that they know. They've got to think and focus really carefully about the throw it out the window phrase, and then they've got to remember where the phrase was to come back to. So the phrase in that was, he stuck in his thumb and pulled out a plum. So let's try another one. You're very welcome to sing along, as long as you're muted. Let's do Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Down came a spider and sat down beside her, and she threw it out the window, the window, the window, the second story window. Down came a spider and sat down beside her, and she threw it out the window. Now this song works with lots of different nursery rhymes. There's a few it doesn't. Humpty Dumpty's a funny one because you've got to throw all the king's horses and all the king's men out the window, but we'll try it. We'll just try that one. Ready? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men, he threw them out the window, the window, the window, the second story window. All the king's horses and all the king's men, he threw them out the window. So that's a really good one. I was very fortunate a couple of years ago to record that song with Mike Jackson on this one. Some of you might have it. Oopsie daisy. Mike's a lovely musician to work with, and he's got lots of beautiful songs on there as well. So that's inhibitory control. The other things are all the songs we know about missing things out. You know, Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and then you go, Little Peter Rabbit had up upon his nose. So all of those type of songs, or head and knees and toes. Yeah, when you miss things out, because children have to stop themselves singing the word, which is the inhibition, and they have to hold that in their head and go on to the next thing. It's quite a hard thing for little ones to do. So you can also do head and shoulders backwards. So start with your toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. It's very tricky, especially when you get to eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Really tricky to do. And they can't sing that and do something to the person next to them. They can't poke the person next to them because it takes such a lot of focus to actually think about eyes and ears and mouth and nose. So it's a very good way of getting children to focus. There's lots of ones like that you can do. Open, shut them is another one. So I do it backwards. Open, shut them, give a little clap. Open, shut them, place them in your lap. Creep them, creep them, creep them, creep them right down to your chin. Which I think is very funny. And it is, it's very funny, and music should be fun. But it is also getting them to really think about that. Now, have a think. Do you know any others like that? I'd love it if you put some of those in the chat room. If you've got some other ideas of things that you could think about that would encourage that inhibitory control. While you're thinking, I'll give you another one. Some of you might know engine number 9. Normally I do this standing up, but it's too tricky if I do it standing up. But I get them to walk around in a circle going engine number 9, going down the Brisbane line. If my train goes off the track, will I get my money back? So they've got that beat going, which is also a really good thing to assist children with self-regulation and all sorts of other things. So they've got that going, and then once they've got that going and they know it really well, I say, look, we're going past the children's hospital and there's no sound. We mustn't make a sound. So they walk with it and think it in their heads. So they go, so they have to feel the beat in their body and think it in their head. And again, they cannot do anything else at the same time as doing that. It's quite tricky. I've got some ideas. Roly-poly. Is that the roly-poly, poly, up, up, up? I'm gathering it is. So you do it backwards. On my toe, there is a flea. Now he's crawling on my knee. Past my tummy, past my nose, on my head where my head grows. Lovely. Yeah. Bingo is another one. Any songs where you stop or freeze. Yes. Even that old classic, you know, you walk and you walk and you walk and you stop. And what I find with children is that children who at the beginning of the year just have little self-regulation, just by doing a lot of these things over and over and over, their self-regulation skills are encouraged and they develop. It's not something that you can just grow into. No, it's not like walking or crawling. If you leave children who can't self-regulate, they will grow into unself-regulating adults. It's something that they need help with. Bye baby bunting with the missing part. Oh, great ideas. Thank you. Yes, so these are all good ones for inhibitory control. Another one is puppet singing. You've probably done this before. This is Audrey, everybody. She has been dying to get a look in on this. Yeah, I know. Been dying to, and now she is. So the idea of puppet singing is when she's at the front, you sing, and when she disappears, you think. The same sort of principle. You're trying to get children to develop that inner hearing, which really helps later if you're going to be an instrumental singer or sing in a choir, as well as just in everyday life, having that inhibitory control. So we'll sing Twinkle Twinkle, because that's what children always pick if you're going to ask them, and see if you can do it with me. So when she disappears, you have to just think it. Ready, go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, up above the world so high. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Great. I don't know if you're doing it right or not because I can't hear you anyway. And then you just get trickier and trickier. So you do twinkle, twinkle, star, wonder, and build up that. And again, children have to focus and have to really concentrate on what you're doing. Any other comments on that before we carry on? Lots and lots of ideas. I could do a whole workshop just on inhibitory control. I think it's fascinating and I love it. Okay, let's go on to working memory then. I did some songs in this morning's workshop, and I know some people are double dipping and coming to this one, so I'll try and choose different ones. But I did some this morning about working memory. Some good ones for working memory are cumulative songs or games. Things like I went to the shop and I bought a banana. And then the next person says I went to the shop and I bought a banana and an apple. I went to the shop and I bought a banana, an apple and a pumpkin. All right, so that you're building up that working memory. But other things are songs that you can use in everyday life to help you remember processes. So there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, would be one. My apologies to Elizabeth, I am going to do the Gumtree song again because it really is one that sums this up. So there's a song on my Stand and Grow CD that I did with Sharon Lind called There's a Gum Tree Growing on the Hill, and you just add a different animal each time. So it goes like this. There's a gum tree growing on a hill, and a kookaburra sits and laughs at the sunrise. And if the gum tree dies, the kookaburra flies away. And then we add another one. There's a gum tree growing on a hill, and a kangaroo sits and listens to the sound, and the kookaburra sits there laughing at the sunrise. And if the gum tree dies, the kookaburra flies away. So you can join in the first bit now that you've got it. There's a gum tree growing on a hill, and a snake slides by looking for his breakfast. Kangaroo hops and listens to the sound. The kookaburra sits there laughing at the sunrise. And if the gum tree dies, the kookaburra flies away. There's a gum tree growing on a hill, and an eagle flies high above the leaves. A snake slides by looking for his breakfast. A kangaroo hops and listens to the sound, while the kookaburra sits there laughing at the sunrise. And if the gum tree dies, the kookaburra flies away. There's a gum tree growing on the hill, and the emu stands in the beautiful shade. The eagle flies high above the trees. The snake slides by looking for his breakfast. The kangaroo sits and listens to the sound. The kookaburra sits and listens to the sunrise. And if the gum tree dies, the kookaburra flies away. The kookaburra flies away. The kookaburra flies away. Now, I was having trouble remembering that. My inhibitory control and my working memory weren't working very well then. With children, I'd use images. So on a whiteboard, I'd use the image of all the animals because it's a very hard thing for them to get that idea. They've still got to then go back and add one each time. So it still does encourage that working memory, but until they've really got it, it's very hard to remember them all. Or I'd do it as a dance. I'd get them to dance the song and then add one of the actions so that then they've got that in their muscle memory. They've got what comes next in their muscle memory. So that's a really good one for working memory. Okay, the idea of cognitive flexibility is that open shut would be from cognitive flexibility as well, or things like traffic light games, you know, where you have green to stop, and red to go. So once they've got the rules worked out, then you shake it up. And Carlene's idea of when you sing stop or freeze, one that you can really get them going at is that when the music plays, they stop, and when the music stops, they dance. So you're really getting them to turn it inside out and be flexible. And the children who find that the hardest ones are the ones who are inflexible and don't like change. They're the ones who you say to them, yes, I know normally we go outside to play first, but it's raining today and we have to come in, and they really don't find that an easy concept. So to play these games. Now, Liz has asked, is the Gumtree song on one of the CDs? Yes, it is. It's on the CD Stand and Grow that did with Sharon Lind and Peter Stewart. So that song's on there. Okay. Anybody got any other ideas about those two? You're very good. You've got a lot of repertoire amongst you all. So Barbara says, where can I purchase your CD? On my website. I will type it into the message here. It's in the chat room.
It's also, yep, and your email address is also at the top of the chat as well.
Yes, yes, I did type my email address in the top, so you can get it there. Catherine, I won't even go to whether I can buy songs online or not. Since iTunes sort of disappeared, they've gone into the ether, so, you know, I won't go that way. Peter Coombs' song about putting a letter in a letterbox. Yes, lovely. Look, those classic icons of children's music, you know, that like Peter Coombs and Mike Jackson, lots and lots of cumulative rhymes that he's done. Just beautiful. So always have a look in your cupboard, because I'm sure you've actually got a lot of really beautiful rhymes and songs there, and CDs by people. Shenanigans do a lot of things that are to do with self-regulation. Hat Palmer, some of you might have. Christoph Malbach from Melbourne University, you know, they have beautiful songs that you can use. So that is just about self-regulation development. Yes, wash your face in orange juice, Mr. Clickety claim, beautiful, I love it. But not only is self-regulation development important, and that links. Oh, Elizabeth loves Christoph Malbach, so do I. I use his songs all the time. I'm going to use another one of his in a minute. So social and emotional development, you can see in the faces of these children, they are playing together. They have to work as a team, which you just don't get if you're in front of a screen playing along with somebody else. You've got that little group of musicians. Throughout history, people have sat around fires and sung and played clapsticks together. And as Barb said, got the guitar out or the banjo or whatever they had. Or if they don't have a guitar, they've done dances. Forever, groups have always got together and sung together. And so it's really important for social and emotional development. But there are some specific songs too that I have used. And I don't know if you know this one. When somebody's going to leave or move on, or they're going on holiday or anything like that, I get people in our yarning circle and I put the person who's going in the middle in a hoop. And I ask them to join in the words of the song, or the rhyme, actually. It's not a rhyme, not a song. I don't know if you know this one. Oh, I've got to remember it. That's why I'm pausing. I'll come back to it in a minute. I'll try and remember it. Let's just look at the, can we look at the chat bar for a minute while I just work out how this song goes, and see if you've got any others to do with working memory or, yeah. Okay, remembered it. Wendy, Wendy in the tub, she forgot to use the plug. Oh my goodness, oh my soul, There goes Wendy down the hole. So she goes down into the hoop. And I say to the children, oh no, won't we miss her? What will her mum think? Why will we miss Wendy? And then I go around that little circle and everybody says something about why they miss Wendy. Oh, I'll miss her playing fairies with me. I miss it because she always makes me laugh at lunchtime. I miss her. And can you imagine how beautiful and warm and cozy that feeling is for that individual, for whoever it is in that circle, to have those children say that about them. And I say to her, then I think we better get Wendy out of the tub, haven't we? And up she comes. So it goes, Wendy, Wendy in the tub. She forgot to use the plug. Oh my goodness, oh my soul. There goes Wendy down the hole. And then you do that lovely chat. Any other ideas about social and emotional development other than the actual act of playing music together, which is so beautiful? Yes, partner transition games. Now, I was going to talk a little bit about those. That's true. Anything that you have to do something with a partner. And I don't know about you. I sometimes don't even let children choose their partners. I just do it by numbers or by, so that they have to dance with somebody that they don't particularly want to. So you build that group social development. And there's lots of lovely partner transition games. And we've recorded a number of them. Things like We Are Two Sailors Lately Come to Sea. We've got that one, and things like that. Okay, so social and emotional development. Let's look at the next one. Motor development. What we're finding a lot with children is that they don't know certain motor skills. Years back, people used to do skipping, galloping, jumping, all of these things. But because the educators don't feel confident in themselves to do dances, then the children are not often learning these skills. And whereas children used to skip to school, they're being delivered by cars. Lots of reasons why children are not learning these dance skills. Motor development is so important for lots of reasons. I've just been doing some research into the links between bush dancing and coding, for example, which I'll talk a bit about a bit later. It's so important. So some ones that I do. Little Grey Ponies is a lovely little folk song. Some people are nodding, yeah? I'll just do it with my fingers because I don't have a grey pony puppet. This is a naked grey pony. The little grey pony looks over the fence. He wants to come out and play. The little grey pony jumps over the fence and gallops away. And gallops away. And gallops away. The little grey pony goes back in the shed. He wants to come back and stay. Would you like to try it with me? The little grey pony looks over the fence. He wants to go out and play. The little grey pony jumps over the fence and gallops away. And gallops away. And gallops away. The little grey pony goes back in the shed. He wants to go back and stay. And now the way that I do this with a group of children, if I've got a group, is I divide them, once they've learnt it really well, I divide them into 4 different coloured ponies, grey, black, brown and white ponies. And when you sing about the white ponies, they come out of their shed and they gallop around the area, and then by the end of the song they have to come back to their own shed. Okay, get the idea? So they jump and they gallop away, and they gallop all the way around and back, and then the black ponies come out and do the same. So they've got to listen for a start. They've also got to know which colour pony they are and remember that, and they've got to get back to their shed by the time the song ends. So there's a lot of skills going on here without bumping into each other as well. So they've got to have that spatial development, which is often learnt through dance. Then once they've got that, I might send 2 sets of ponies out together. I might say the grey and the white. The grey and white ponies jump over the fence. And then they've got an added dimension in that the grey ponies have got to go back to the grey pony shed, and the white ponies have got to go back to the white pony shed. So you see the skills that these children are developing. And it's quite a complex concept. The more you practice it, the more they get it. So they're practicing galloping, they're practicing that concept of how long a song is and how much time in terms of the music they've got. They're developing spatial awareness, and they're remembering that inhibitory control. They're not going out when the other ponies are and when they have to retain their place in the shed. So lots and lots of skills with that one. And that is on Come On and Move Your Body, which I also did with Mike. Now there's another one on this, which I also do. We Are Two Sailors. And this also assists with number and maths concepts. I'm going to talk about number in a minute, but this is, I don't know if anybody knows this one. We are 2 sailors lately come from sea, and if you want another one, come along with me. Oh, whippy woppy, wishy washy, wishy washy wee, wishy washy, come along with me. So the 2 sailors do a little dance together, and then they have to go off and choose another sailor each. So we've doubled the amount of sailors that are dancing. So now there's 2 partners. Then each of those 2 go off and get another one. And again, it's doubled. It hasn't just gone up incrementally, it's doubled. So each time you've got twice as many dancers. I teach this slowly in stages. I just do the song first, and then I add the dance, and I do it slower than on the CD. If you're using the CD, just remember this is the end result. This isn't how you'd start. So again, that's on that Come and Move Your Body one. So that's, as Elizabeth was saying, there's partner games where you've got to work closely together with people. You've also got to get the change in music from the part where you choose your partner to the wishy-washy bit. I'll sing it again. Oh, we are 2 sailors lately come from sea, and if you want another one, come along with me. Oh, wishy-washy, wishy-washy, wishy-washy wee, wishy-washy, wishy-washy, come along with me. And in our interpretation, we've got a bit where they have to stand with their hands on their hips in between and go na 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 na. And if I'm doing that without the CD, I just keep the na 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 bit going until everybody's ready. So another doubling up one like that would be Mike Jackson's gorilla dance, which some of you who've been around for a while might have done. There's one gorilla in a cage, and then he goes and gets another gorilla. So we've got twice as many. They go and get them. So it's a doubling up song again. And then there's one flamingo in the cage, and one flamingo in the pond, and they double up. So again, that's a nice one from that point of view. I'm sure that you can think of lots and lots of motor development songs. An old classic is Hey Betty Martin, and I'm not sure if you know this one, but this has all kinds of music in it, kinds of movement in it. So it goes, hey Betty Martin, tippy-toe, tippy-toe, hey Betty Martin, tippy-toe fine, hey Betty Martin, tippy-toe, tippy-toe, hey Betty Martin, will you be mine? So that's the first verse, just very gentle. And then, hey Betty Martin, galloping, galloping, hey Betty Martin, galloping fine. And then you go on to, hey Betty Martin, jumping, jumping. You can do anything you like. I always do floating as well to do a comparison. So they have to float around. So they've got to listen to the beat of all those different types of movement. Please make some comments if you'd like to in the chat bar. So we talked a little bit about numeracy, and This is Amira. Amira's 2. And she was very clear about what she wanted to do with these blocks. She was very, very clear. She had a plan and she did them. And I think 2-year-olds have a very good idea of the beginnings of numeracy, maths, all those things. I've always taught in kindergarten, and so some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are kindergarten related. This is a little song called Ploughing Through the Waves. Actually, it's not a song, it's just a tune. And I use this one to teach about sequencing in numeracy. So what happens is every time you hear the same kind of piece of music, like the A of the music, you tap your head. When you hear it change to B, you tap your shoulders. When you hear it go back to A again, you tap your head. So you've got to really listen. This develops form. If you're a music teacher, this is talking about form, A, B, A, B. It also is about sequencing, about coming back to things. So I'll give this a go and see if we can do it. Can't see anybody tapping. And again. Listen for the music change. And goes back to A again. And once more. Going to change and do something different now. So we've got a bit of a C in the end, something completely different. Now I was doing this with a group of children and using a Lego block or Duplo block to be each of the bits of music. So we put this one out for and it happens again. So we put another yellow one. And then it changes, so we change the color, and we do that throughout so that you end up, it's very difficult to do it on a Zoom, but you end up with a pattern of what the music looks like. And the musicians that I've got here today will tell you that's a really important pre-musical concept, isn't it, of looking at what the pattern is like and how the music goes. And of course the last bit was different, and so you put a different color, put a blue. I had a little boy who made it with a pipe cleaner because he said it went ding 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 bum bum. So that's another way of sort of visually representing the link between numeracy. Another idea is to include shape. Peter Stewart and I wrote a song called Shapes, which is on our Those Things We Do album, which is very old now. Been around for a million years. Most of you'll have that in the back of your cupboard somewhere, I should think. So it's draw a circle in the air, 4 straight lines and you've a square. Stretch it out, make a rectangle. 1, 2, 3, play more triangle. And then you have to make your own shape. So not just the shapes that we've taught, but you make another shape with your body. It's beautiful piano accompaniment by Peter Stewart. So there's that one that I would do to link numeracy. Getting back to the sequence idea, if I'm doing threading with children and they have, I notice that they've done a sequence of a yellow bead and a green and a yellow and a green, I'll say to them, oh, look, you've got yellow, green, what comes next? If you say it, they are very unlikely to pick up the next colour, unless they're very good at this. But if you sing it, if you go, oh, I can see you've got yellow, green, yellow, green. They'll go yellow, green, yellow, green. They'll pick up the pattern of the music. So again, I find music so useful to use in this regard. I use it all day. I use it to encourage children to come over, to listen, you know, come on everybody. I use it all day. Okay, literacy. I don't think any of us have any doubt about the links between literacy and music. This is a song, there's lots of books like this. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly, and I use lots like Give Me a Home Among the Gum Tree, all of these beautiful things. Any children that learn a lot of rhymes and a lot of songs will also have literary words in their vocabulary. And I love the fact that you can say somebody sits on a tuffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. Who knows what a tuffet is? I don't know. We had a little boy move in from Turkey, and he knew very, very little English, and his mum wanted him to learn a bit. And at the State Library on a Thursday, well, it used to happen, doesn't happen now, but it used to happen, a lovely guitarist and singer would just sing traditional songs to children and with children. The Wheels on the Bus, Incy Wincy Spider, all of this. So I encouraged his mum to take him, and every time he came back from that, he said to me, "Hey, Sue, Incy Wincy Spider," and he'd sing one of these beautiful rhymes. And of course, his language and his love of poem and rhyme just expanded and was beautiful. Any other ideas about literacy? I mean, again, we could probably do a whole workshop about the links between literacy and music. And I did talk a little bit more about this in this morning's workshop, about the link between rhyme and reading, and also the links between rhythm and self-regulation. Any ideas? Can I unmute you for a bit if you've got anything to say? I've been talking too long. Yes, somebody's unmuted.
Yeah. If anyone knows the song "Oh Said the Blackbird," that's a great rhyming one where they have to generate the rhyming words to match the colour of the bird, and I typically do it with a felt story or something similar. Or the song "Ida Red" as well is a great one for matching rhyming words to the colour.
Could you teach us it or not?
Yeah. I might just take off my headphones because it's hard for me to.
Yeah, sure.
So "Oh Said the Blackbird" goes like this. "Oh, said the blackbird sitting in the tree, I had a friend as well as thee. She flew away and never came back, and ever since then my head's been black." And then you find a colour and find a rhyming word to match it. So it might be blue, and get them to generate words like glue. Of course, there'll be lots of laughs with poo. And then putting it together. So, "Oh, said the bluebird sitting in the tree, I had a friend as well as thee. She got her feet stuck in glue, and ever since then my head's been blue."
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. And you can use it as a transition game, like to go and wash their hands or something similar with the colours that they're wearing. And also the song "Ida Red, Ida Blue." So that goes, "Down the road and across the creek, can't get a letter but once a week. Ida red, Ida blue, Ida I got stuck on you." And you do the same sort of concept. You replace the last phrase with a rhyming word. But yeah, those are some examples that I sometimes.
Do you know where we can access those, Elizabeth?
Yes. So I used to be part of the Kodai.
Yes.
Camilla is the
Yes.
name of the network.
Yeah.
And they have a Dr. James Cuskelly has a website called Sound Thinking Australia, and they have felt board stories on there that you can use. And you might not I guess the tricky thing is that if you don't read sheet music, it might be hard to interpret it. But they've got a lot of resources, like the DVD musical beginnings as well by Camilla, teach a lot of those sort of early childhood basic songs.
They're a great group to be involved in, and James is such a lovely character.
Yes, he's hilarious.
Would you mind putting that link in the chat room, in the chat box, so that if people are interested in following up, that would be great. Thanks, Elizabeth. That's really lovely. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Now I'm going to put two things together here. At the beginning, we looked at what the research shows. So, what's a good idea? It's what people who make decisions don't like research often, people that make big decisions, but research shows that music in an early years setting produces long-term development. We looked at that. And then we looked at the fact that these are the realities, if you like. And so because of these things, I know you thought the sad bit was over, didn't you? You thought all that lovely singing had left us, you know, well, happy. But because we know that music is so important, but we know that the reality is that people don't value it and don't see what's going on. What I want to do is think, what can we do? What can we do? Many of us are established teachers. We may work in places where there are more than one educator. There are either schools or in, I don't know if anyone's working in long day care. There's certainly lots of people there. You may have a colleague who doesn't feel confident or who doesn't believe that music is important. What I'd like to do is open up the mics. What can we do as people who do care about music? You must care because you're at this workshop. What can we do? So can I just ask people to jump in? Be nice to hear some other people as well. Any ideas? I haven't got any answers for this, by the way. I just wanted your ideas. I know it's hard to talk on Zoom. I realise it is, but I would appreciate it.
I think if we have students working with us, just really encourage them to pick up some of the music skills. I know I had an excellent mentor who's on this chat this afternoon, who was very good at showing me how to use music and provided music that I could then use in my own practice. And I still use those songs now, nearly 8 years later. Thank you, Michelle.
Fabulous. Can we hear from Michelle on that one? No, she's not. Oh, yes, she is. No, that's a very important issue, having students in your place, because knowing where to direct them, how to put them in touch of good quality music, because otherwise when they finish their pracs, they will be at sea. And if they've had so little education within the university or within the TAFE, then yes, as practicing teachers, we have a huge responsibility when students come to us to make sure that they have this whole tub of resources that they can leave with you. And that's real testament. The fact that you're still using some of those 8 years later, and you're still wanting to come to workshops like this to extend your repertoire is great. That's wonderful. Anyone else? What else can we do? iPad Unit 1, you looking very lively.
I'm thinking we also not just have to share with our student teachers, but also with our colleagues that are around on other people, year levels around us, and that we need to share with them, you know, and offer about, if you're on that, if you know, you've got more repertoire or whatever, that offering to share and take their class and join in and like, yeah, way across.
It does take an effort, doesn't it, Liz? You know, it does take an effort. If we feel it's important, we do need to take that step, I think, and encourage teachers and mentor teachers and come alongside them and assist them, because I think that's the way that this is going to stay. Otherwise, the use of nursery rhymes, the use of all these lovely dances and songs that we're singing today, they will go out of early childhood education. And I think a couple of people said earlier what they see is people using random things. They'll use YouTube or they'll use other kinds of media things, and the quality is patchy. It's not consistent. And yet there are some great resources out there. In this morning's workshop, I did look at where to find resources. So I talked about things, even things like Merrily Merrily, which has been around for a million years, or the Playgroup of Australia and Playgroup Queensland have some beautiful materials. Obviously, Elizabeth's got all the Kodai material that you can use. Lots of CDs out there, people who have been around for a long time, because music that's been there for a long time, it's important to keep it going. Yeah.
I think props are really good. So like, if you play with cards or crafts or whatever, or Apple, and you can make up songs with move how it's moving, so you get those sounds going. And I think props are really good for anyone who doesn't
I think you're right. I think if we're looking at the fact that people don't have confidence, skills, resources and knowledge, then we do. A lot of us do have those things. Yeah. And so to pass those on, really, really important to new people. Yeah. Anyone else before we ask the next question? I don't usually do workshops like this. As you know, I usually, anyone that's done workshops before, it's usually a lot more dancing and singing and doing all things. But because I've noticed this issue over the last few years, and I visit schools when students are on prac, and I also teach at Griffith Uni, and I know that people don't naturally know songs. They don't come into those establishments already knowing them. I just see it as such an important lost gift that we need to nurture. So my next question is, what are you going to take away from this workshop, or what made your eyebrows raise about this workshop? So you can either put them in the chat, or you can tell me.
What a lovely voice you have.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of you.
Mine's not very high pitch. I just keep it neutral, or maybe put a little bit of swing into it, or whatever the case might be. The children look at you and think, oh yeah, I could do that too.
Well, I try and sing higher than my natural voice, because children relate higher. Normally, if I'm singing at folk club or something like that, I'll sing quite low. But for children, I sing much higher. So put it up a bit. Yeah. Now, that's a good thing. The local libraries, I think that's great. I do send people along to local libraries because they do a really good job. The toddler groups are great. I'm working with a group at the moment in Ipswich, and they're really keen to have really good quality nursery rhymes and songs that they can teach the children. Now, always great to get new songs, can be accessed. Yeah, I did talk about iTunes earlier. They've made it very difficult at the moment for me to get any revenue at all from iTunes, and so we're contemplating what to do about it. That's my issue, not your issue. Yes, I mean, it is a shame. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, when we started in 2000, we did the CDs at $20 each because we wanted them to be accessible to educators, and they are still $20. And actually the newest project that we did, I've just done this one, which has great links to maths, anybody that's interested, is Young Engineers Projects. And I did this one with Andrew King, who is an engineer, and it has lots of experiences that you can do around engineering for children, and each experience, which looks at a different aspect of engineering, is linked to a song. And this time, for those of you who don't have CD players, we've put a downloadable code in the back, because I realise that that's an issue for some people nowadays, that they don't. So if you buy it, you get the music like that as well. So for each engineering principle, so for example, if it's about robotics, then there's Robot Ted, you know, who's lost his arm. And Kathy, you can get that from my website, or you can get it from Andrew's website as well, which I can put in as well. And it's in places, if you're in Brisbane, it's in Avid Books, or Where the Wild Things Are, or Riverbend Books in Bulimba. You know, you can get them from bookshops as well. So that's another good link, and we've really enjoyed joining the two. There's one of those songs in there, one of the tunes in there, which is called Codes, which is what I was talking about the links between dance and codes. So as the music plays, it's a very strong 4-beat, so you can get children to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and back, 2, 3, 4 to the side, 2, 3, 4 and back. You know, you can do that and get them to devise their own code for the dance. So lots and lots of ideas in there for engineering. And especially in COVID times, parents were really grateful to it, because there's all sorts of things that you can do with children, from balloon rockets to things about boats, and all little pictures like that, and then how they link to the Australian curriculum if you're in a school, and how they link to ELF if you're in early years settings. And they also link to our design concept, which is about, if you can dream it, you can draw it. If you can design it, you can make it. So we, Andrew and I do another workshop just on that topic, and hopefully we're going to be up with Liz later on in the year doing that. And if anybody would like us to come and do a workshop wherever you are, or do another Zoom session like this, let me know. Okay, Liz, I think I'll leave it there. And if anybody else has got anything to say or anything to do, I've got references at the end of this PowerPoint of what I used today. And there's my email address and my website. And those are where I got all those, all that information from. Yeah, no, Bob, I understand in the outback you don't have access to things. I know. The thing that I do is that I use the CD to learn the song. Once I've got it in my skin, then I can go out and use it without any electrical devices. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sue. I see that one of them said, I just had a bit of a Google there on Spotify, that lots of your music is on Spotify as well, yeah, that people can find some of your albums and songs on there. So that's great to know.
We just don't get any money from Spotify.
Oh, no. Well, lucky I own yours as well. That's good. Sue, just anybody else? Anyone else have any questions for Sue or comments before we finish up? No? Well, Sue, thank you very much as always.
Thank
I've got
you.
lots of nice thank yous coming in here. It's wonderful that we can, you know, enjoy some good quality music. It's made us all thought-provoking. It is very sad, the state of music and good quality music for the young children. It was wonderful to do that. I think in what I take away from this, a lot of us actually have quite a large knowledge of music, but sometimes we forget we've got it there.
We do.
And sometimes we come to sessions like yours and you remind us of some of those songs. You go, hey, I know that. I just haven't sung that for a really long time. Or give us a new twist on how to sing an old song or how to play that game. So that's wonderful to do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And lots of people saying, thank you so much. Love your music. Always inspire me. Thank you. Lots of those happening through there. So
good. Oh, thanks for joining me this afternoon. And
thank you. Just letting you know that we've got the wine and cheese is going to start at 4:30. If people want to join in our wine and cheese, there are lots of giveaways there, including one of Sue's CDs and books. I see I'm there in the prize draw, Sue, as well, that you can win tonight as well. So come on in and join along. And that link will be on your invitation that you got earlier with all your sessions that you chose. Remember that this afternoon after 5 you'll get an email that will have the links to watching where these have been recorded, so you can re-watch them and find out some more little bits of information as well, but especially that last one there with lots of your particulars on. People want that slide. So thank you very much, Sue.
Thank you. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.